There comes a time in every man's life when he faces the crushing weight of failure. Perhaps it is a business venture that falls apart after years of hard work, a relationship that withers despite the depth of his love, or a personal goal that slips away just when it seemed within reach. In these moments, when all seems lost, a voice whispers that we are not enough, that we have failed not only in our endeavors, but as men. It is a voice that can lead to despair, to a retreat into bitterness and regret. But we are not made for retreat. We are not made to collapse under the pressure of our setbacks. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who walked the rough path before us, understood this truth more deeply than most. To them, failure was not a final verdict, but an invitation, a challenge to grow stronger, to master oneself, and to rise again with even greater clarity and fortitude. In the darkest moments, when defeat threatens to overtake us, we must remember, failure is not the end. It is merely the beginning of a new stage in our journey. As Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, so powerfully stated, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This insight lies at the very heart of Stoicism, the idea that obstacles are not merely to be endured, but embraced, for they are the very tools by which we become who we are meant to be. Let us pause for a moment and reflect on this. When we face failure, we are often overcome by emotions: anger, frustration, disappointment, and fear. These emotions flare up like a fire, consuming us if we allow them. The Stoics, however, teach us that it is not the emotions themselves that destroy us, but our failure to control them. Epictetus, a former slave who rose to become one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." It is in our reaction that our true power lies. We are not passive victims of our circumstances. Our failures do not define us. What defines us is how we respond. When we encounter obstacles, whether in the form of external setbacks or internal turmoil, we have a choice. We can let these obstacles break us, or we can let them refine us. Just as the finest steel is forged in the hottest fire, so too are we made stronger by the trials we endure. In failure, we find the opportunity to cultivate the virtues that define the Stoic mindset: resilience, self-control, and an unshakable sense of purpose. The nature of setbacks. Why failure is essential to growth. Why do we fail? Why must we endure setbacks, both large and small, on the path of life? These questions have troubled men for centuries, but the Stoics remind us that life's trials are not random misfortunes sent to torment us. They are a necessary part of our growth. Every failure, every disappointment, is a lesson in disguise. And if we are wise enough to learn from these lessons, we will emerge stronger, more focused, and more resilient. Consider the words of Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Just as a man who lifts heavy weights gradually becomes stronger, so too does the man who faces difficulties without flinching grow in strength of mind and spirit. Without the challenge of failure, we would remain stagnant, weak, and untested. It is only through adversity that we discover our true capacity for greatness. But make no mistake, this is no easy path. To truly embrace failure as a tool for growth requires a radical shift in perspective. It requires us to let go of the belief that success is measured by external achievements alone. The Stoic man understands that true success lies not in the outcome of his actions, but in the effort he invests and the virtue he displays along the way. This is not a message of resignation or defeatism. It is not about lowering our ambitions or accepting mediocrity. On the contrary, the Stoic approach to failure demands that we aim high, strive relentlessly, and pursue excellence in all that we do. But it also reminds us that when we fall short, and we will, we must not despair. For it is in these moments of failure that we have the greatest opportunity to cultivate the qualities that truly matter. The power of self-control, mastering your emotions. In the face of failure, many men crumble under the weight of their emotions. Anger boils over, frustration clouds judgment, and self-pity poisons the soul. These emotions, left unchecked, can lead us down a dark and destructive path. We lash out at others, or worse, we turn inward, blaming ourselves for every misstep, every mistake. But the Stoic understands that emotions, though powerful, are not to be our masters. We are not slaves to our feelings. Rather, we are called to be masters of ourselves, to exercise self-control in even the most trying of circumstances. As Epictetus teaches, no man is free who is not master of himself. To be free, to be truly free, is to have control over our own reactions, regardless of what the world throws at us. This mastery of emotions is not about suppressing our feelings or denying their existence. It is about recognizing that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. It is about cultivating a calm and steady mind that remains unmoved by the storms of life. When failure strikes, it is natural to feel the sting of disappointment. It is natural to feel anger or regret. But the Stoic does not allow these emotions to rule him. Instead, he takes a step back, observes his feelings without judgment, and then chooses how to act. He does not react impulsively, driven by emotion. He responds thoughtfully, guided by reason and virtue. Imagine for a moment you are standing at the crossroads of a great failure. On one side, the path of rage, despair, and self-doubt stretches before you. It is an easy road to take, for it requires no effort, no discipline. But it is a road that leads only to further ruin. On the other side, the path of self-control, resilience, and wisdom beckons. This path is harder, for it requires strength of mind and heart, but it is the path that leads to true freedom. The Stoic man chooses this second path. He understands that it is only by mastering his emotions that he can turn failure into a stepping stone toward success. He does not flinch in the face of adversity. He does not cower before defeat. Instead, he meets each challenge with a steady gaze and an unshakable resolve. Turning setbacks into success, the Stoic blueprint. How then do we turn setbacks into success? How do we transform failure from a crushing blow into a catalyst for growth? The first step is to embrace the Stoic principle of amor fati, love of fate. This means accepting whatever happens to us, not with resignation, but with a deep and abiding trust that everything, even failure, is a part of the larger plan for our development. As Marcus Aurelius writes, a blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. In the same way, the Stoic man turns every experience, every failure, into fuel for his growth. To practice amor fati is to see setbacks not as misfortunes, but as opportunities. When a project fails, we ask, what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? When a relationship ends, we reflect, what have I gained from this experience? How can I carry these lessons forward into my next endeavor? In every failure, there is a lesson waiting to be learned, a new skill waiting to be mastered, a new strength waiting to be discovered. The second step is to focus on what we can control. In every situation, there are elements beyond our control: external circumstances, other people's actions, the whims of fate. But there are also things within our control: our thoughts, our actions, our attitudes. As Epictetus teaches, Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. By focusing on what we can control, we take ownership of our lives and refuse to be victims of circumstance.